What is up, everybody? Today we're going to be taking an in depth look at the Studio Series Bumblebee movie Skywarp. Before we get started with this review, consider subscribing and consider liking this video if you enjoyed it, of course. Let's begin. Starting off with the details, the head looks absolutely menacing. The way he's sculpted makes him look so angry, ready to kill some auto scums. With those red eyes locking in and piercing through their sparks. Overall, a really awesome face, and those shoulder pieces being a carryover from the G1 design. Moving on to his chest, which I think is my second favorite part about this guy. It's sculpted amazing, the vents are so iconic with that lovely sort of faded orange out cockpit. All of the lighting gives him a more mechanical, lively feel, bringing him to life in your arm, which speaking of, the arms are smooth with lining on the outside until you look at all those details on the inside, molded hydraulics and wired all over. Having the shoulders maintain a blocky yet realistic feel to the figure. Moving on to the upper thigh, I really love how they went with a gray and purple aesthetic for it. Look at those details with the inside maintaining that wiring, smooth all the way on the outside. Coming more down to the bottom of the legs, it's so thick but sculpted so nicely, just what you would want on the side of it, having the thrusters of the jet, which is really awesome. The vents looking on the inside of the legs, and I really appreciate the smoothness on the outside. Moving on to my favorite part of this guy, it's definitely the wings. I mean, come on, look at those wings with the gun giving it some extra flair, and then coming to the back, that wingspan is crazy. Coolest part to this guy. Hasbro may have skimped out on a little bit of paint on this, but this mechanical gun still looks really cool and amazing. Blasting away those Autobots. When placed into his arms, it looks even better. It becomes part of his arms, unless you break the illusion of looking at the bottom, of course. He also comes with these smaller guns, which later on you'll see attached to the wings. They don't really fit in the hand, or attached to the hand from what I noticed, but they do help the Tetrajet mode a lot, but also gives really good coloring to the wings in the robot mode. Moving on to articulation, the head is on a ball joint. He can look up, down, side to side. He can even spin all the way around if he wanted, and looks up for some really nice poses, though he looks like a bug. The arm moves out to the side, ready for a T-pose. Can swivel all the way around, but the wings get in the way, also swiveling that far back. The elbow bends a little bit or a lot more above 90 degrees, which is really cool. No wrist rotation, though it is downward due to transformation. The wings do move out with a slide-in rotation and another one, which you can also wiggle around. He does have a little bit of waist rotation, which is really cool, though it is a pain in the butt because it's really good and strong. Looking at the legs swivel out that far, and they also swivel in farther. His kick forward is definitely average, however, who's complaining? Doesn't have much of a backward unless you move it in a little, and then you get a little bit more range. He can do a split, which, if you know Jobby, he would be happy. Knee bending 90 degrees, or a little bit past 90, I don't know, depending on how you look at it. And one of my favorite points of articulation, ankle articulation, getting him into some sweet poses. You know, headed into transformation, you want to start off by folding the hands in on both sides. Second one down. After you finish that, you're going to want to rotate at the biceps. For him being my first seeker, this guy's transformation was a little bit complex, but really fun. But now you're going to move the arms out the way so you can make some room for later on with the legs. Straighten out the arms a little bit on both sides, making sure it looks good, ready for later. Fold in the wings, then rotate that down, and then proceed to fold the flap out. You're definitely going to repeat on the other side, do the same thing, go ahead and fold that flap out. Coming to the legs transformations are a little bit asymmetrical. You're going to want to fold that piece out, then fold the front of his legs out, go ahead and push his feet up, and fold that flap down. After you do that, you're going to want to rotate this piece up, which it will connect into the side of the legs. Move that spike piece out a little bit. And then just repeat the same on the other leg. Fold out, fold the leg up, fold that piece up, and then connect it to the side of the legs. After you do that, you're going to fold each legs facing each other inwards. When you do that, you can align it and connect it, which I do here, but I believe I do disconnect them later on. For some clearance, of course. Coming to the top of this guy, you're going to lift that headpiece up, hold down, and fold the head back all the way, or most of the way. Fold the hands back down, so therefore you can fold the wings all the way back out. I made a small mistake here. We're going to want to raise that head up a little bit just so we can push that middle piece through the front, which will then allow us to bend it all the way back, which is starting to shape up to be a really solid Tetrajet. At this point in the transformation, now you're going to want to come to the bottom, and that front piece is where you're going to split, which after you split will give you access to the nose cone. The connection is kind of tight, so go ahead and take your time and peg that in. Moving on, you're going to want to straighten things out, which I struggle to, then connect those pieces back together. Fold the wings back out of the way, therefore you can rotate the arms forward and move them inwards, which you're then going to repeat on the other side. And then after you finish with all that, get them lined up, and bend at the elbow until they're all snug in that slot area. Fold that front piece down again, which will be later used for his weapon. Fold his head up all the way this time, and go ahead and bring that piece down and tap it in, which, like I said before, I struggled with so much. Bro is bent like a bird. When he's all aligned, fold those wings down once more, and then we can go ahead and move on to the top after it's all clipped in. Go ahead and fold that piece out the way, and fold those two flaps. It's better to connect these flaps together now before you put those pieces down, I found, because it's more connected, and it looks a lot better when everything's all finished and transformed. After all that struggle is done, go ahead and fold that piece down and then squeeze a little bit more, and we should all be done with the Tetrajet. One last check is making sure everything is aligned and well. Once again, you can go ahead and bring in his gun/cannon, which that tab will connect to that square slot, and 2 smaller tabs at the bottom will also connect, which gives this guy really good balance. If you guys already know me, you know I am a sucker for the Cybertronian Tetrajets that all these Seekers have. Specifically this mode, which is why I wish I collected more of him. Though I will in the future, hopefully. Taking a close-up, I know he's basically the same as all the other Tetrajets out there, but for my first, he's really cool. Just look at all those details on the wings, that Decepticon logo. I so love all that lining. I just love this wingspan in general. It's so cool. For underground kibble, I would say it's bad, but it's a Tetrajet and I love it. It fits it so well, especially with that cannon at the front. It's perfect. When it comes to the Tetrajets, the kibble at the bottom give a whole new meaning to it. Zooming in on the back of this guy, at his thrusters, there's a little port in there. It can fit blast effects part, however when you do zoom out at the end, it does look a little bit funky because it's angled weirdly. However, that just might be how they fly, and that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and peg in this second one, which we can then see what it looks like. When we zoom out, you're gonna see what I mean. It's angled weirdly, and that's okay. Maybe it's the angle they fly. However, I still really like it. And if you have a flight stand, you can pop off some really nice poses with this guy. Just take a look at it. Moving on over to the last part of the video, here's a comparison with, I believe, the War for Cybertron Studio Series Starscream, which he's definitely bigger. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and like this video and subscribe if you haven't. Please, thank you. For those who are already subscribed, thank you so much for the support, and I hope you guys enjoy the future content that this channel has to offer.